Welcome back to another episode of Recovered Life. It's Damon Frank, and I am here with Kevin Kline, spiritual transformation coach. How you doing today, Kevin?
Wonderful, thanks.
So great to be back and talking about this conversation that we've been having about the book, When Things Fall Apart. And, I love the title because as we had said, in our previous episodes and conversations, that things are always falling apart in recovery. And it is how we kind of deal with those things falling apart. And I wanted to talk with you today about a topic related to this and what you can teach us about what you have learned in this book in your spiritual practice, dealing with people in recovery, about the topic, letting go of judgment.
Yeah, I think that this is wonderful for people who are in recovery, because I see that it doesn't really even matter how much time they have. They still have that little voice in the back of their head that wants to criticize. So we were talking before about the ego, and self-judgment can be a big factor of that. And it has really interesting ways of sneaking in, even if we've, worked character defects and things and we think, okay, I'm golden now. And then it just basically transmutes into a subtler way of expressing, right? So the learning how to let go of judgment is, part of acceptance. And, when I said that, the ego, we're just trying to keep us safe. And so, it's like, thank you for sharing. Now go to your room, that we can still have things like if we have sticky areas in our life where we still haven't quite let go of like our mother or father's voice, from when we were 4, that said, oh, you should never do that. That's bad, whatever it is. Or if you could do that better, with the inference that that perhaps you couldn't, that you were not capable of it, that those voices, those diminishing voices that we can still have going on even into long-term sobriety.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, there's 2 types of judgment that I see that pop up in my life. There is external judgment of what I feel or my ego feels that other people will feel about me. And then there is internal judgment, what I feel about me, right? Can you talk about those and which one's worse? What I found, and I'm just going to share an experience, is this is really the internal and external are so prevalent when things fall apart that I find that I will always go first. My ego will always go first to the external. What are other people in my life going to feel about this? What are people I don't know going to feel about this? And then then I get past that fairly quickly. And then it's the internal. How do I feel about this? That seems to get the best attack. When the ego attacks me, that's when it really gains some steam with me. So could you address the external and the internal?
Okay, let's be clear. There's no such thing as external and internal, and it's never really about anybody else.
So it's always internal, is what you're telling me, right? It's always right. How I perceive it.
It's always our responsibility. It's always our responsibility. It's always our voice. People come to us and meet with us at the level of our own acceptance and experience and love or not love for ourselves. We're like magnets. What we really believe, not the things that we may, say in a meeting or, yammer to ourselves like, oh, I can do, it's like what that stuff, the kind of stuff you tell yourself at like 3 o'clock in the morning when you're alone, and there's like nobody to lie to, and it's like, getting very real about, how we feel. That kind of belief, that's what attracts people. That's, if I think that I'm bad at something, even if I don't say those words, I will attract people in my life that will tell me I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
Right?
I find that people in recovery will always use the thing, I don't really know what I really believe when you're talking about that magnet, right? But isn't the easy way to find out is to, when your ego basically attacks you, that feeling that you have is really the core of what you really believe, right? Isn't that a
Absolutely.
really clear sign?
To say we don't know what we believe, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a lie, whether we're conscious of it or not. It's like if you want to know what you believe, look at what you have.
Okay. That's
You
wow,
know, if
that's
you
powerful.
if you have somebody coming at you that's part of it is their stuff, and part of it is the fact that you've got that magnetization to that, whatever that energy is, and that you're attracting, right? Just like when we finally learn how to have boundaries, people don't cross them. When we find to like really love ourselves, all of a sudden people are a lot friendlier to us. You know, it's in the process of learning all of that stuff that well, it can get dicey emotionally, but in letting go of judgment, it's about first taking out the words good and bad,
I love that.
right?
I love that. And okay, I'm going to ask the question that I know everybody's thinking right now. How
Right.
do you get rid of judgment? How do you do that?
Well, practice, discipline. I know that most of us don't like the D word. We don't like to have repetition of things that we have to do, but you don't have to do it. You can keep the same stuff over
Yes.
and over again, right? Um, but letting go of the concepts of good and bad. It's like in spiritual law, there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so. If I think something is bad, then it's bad for me. If I think something is good, it's good for me. Now, that has nothing to do with you, your experience. I mean, we do have things within society that say, oh, that's bad or that's good, that can reinforce that. But within the individual, the only way to start to move past some of the harder things, and to be in acceptance, is to let go of the concept that that I need to make something good or bad so that I can either compliment myself or discipline myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I need to do that. That's the ego, you know. Other than
Yeah.
I told you so, right? It's like, well, gee, that was a good job, but that wasn't so good. We need to do that better. My grandfather had this phrase when I was growing up that's like, that's half a job. So here comes this little kid that does this thing, and they're like so proud of themselves, I'm everything, and it didn't rise up to his expectations, so he would say that was half a job. And so, but when we can let go of the concept of good or bad, of good and bad, and just that what is, it's just what is right now. It just what is. And so if we practice a behavior that really doesn't serve us anymore, because that's a better way of looking at it than, oh, that's bad, I got to stop that. Is this serving me? If it is,
Yes.
great, continue. If it isn't, well, then we need to, you know, move in a different direction.
Yes, yes. And
So,
I find that so powerful. Just to jump in here real quick, in the coaching that I do a lot of the times, what we do is we just do 3x5 cards, writing down all of the thoughts and things that we're doing, right? And then we go through one by one and not say so much, this is good, this is bad. Take it out of there. Does this work for me? Does this serve others? And if I know what I want to try to achieve, that's a really easy answer. And it takes it out of the good, bad paradigm of judgment and allows me to think clearly about the decisions that I'm making.
right, it's more empowering too. Being
Yes.
caught up in the good bad concept is very limiting. It's very restrictive. It's really an old paradigm whose time has come to like be let go of. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't serve us as a race. You know, moving away from that and moving into non-judgment about ourselves, about other people, so that we can focus on, you know, what better serves. You know, it's like the pandemic. You know, more and more people are going, wait a minute, what's really important?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, it's like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Or, you know, let's not do this anymore, like as a group, you know, at whatever size that group is, right? Hopefully it'll end up being like the entire country going, no, we need to really start shifting how we're doing some of these things, you know, because everybody deserves food and clean water and clean air and a planet that's not about to explode, you know. So as long as, well, not as long as, when we can move into a real acceptance of non-judgment, and then a real acceptance of our own humanity, and knowing that at this moment we are doing the best that we can.
Yeah, that's powerful.
If we could do better, we would.
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't we, right?
And I think that's what we learn in recovery, is that we learn to do better in recovery, right? Step by step, we learn to do better. And, you know, I think the big takeaway that I've gotten from this episode is learn how to let go of your judgment, right? Work on letting go of your judgment day by day.
Yeah. And it's not better. Better is still part of the good, bad paradigm.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, thank you. Thank you very much. This has been a great episode. And you can reach out to Kevin here on Recovered Life. I will tag him here in this stream. Thanks so much, Kevin. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Keep the conversation going. Join Recovered Life, a community of like-minded people who are looking to live their best recovered lives. Membership is free, and you can apply at recoveredlife.us.